Good morning. It is a beautiful day here in Colorado. I just had to get outside, take Luna out. She loves the trails. And while I was out here, I thought I'd talk about my recent trip to Utah and 5 trails I think that anybody can experience with a stock vehicle. You need to get off of the pavement and hit some of these dirt roads, and you can really see some places that are really unique, away from the crowds, and give you an experience that most people aren't going to be able to get. The first spot I like to talk about is the Cathedral Valley Loop in Capitol Reef National Park. Now the loop is 58 miles. It's a good day trip, and you can do it in a stock SUV, a little bit of clearance. The road is well maintained, but you do have to ford the Fremont River. Now fording the river isn't bad at all. The bottom is solid. When I was there, it was about a foot deep. So as long as you take it slow, you shouldn't have a problem. There's Bentonite Hills, there's the Glass Mountain, there's history along the route. The views are spectacular through a variety of overlooks around, and it's off the beaten path. Not a lot of people are going to be there compared to some of the main attractions in the national park. So when I was there, I saw 2 cars for most of it, and when I got closer to some of the more popular lookouts, there is a handful of cars. It is a beautiful area. Now the next place I want to talk about is on BLM, and what's so great about BLM is that you don't have to worry about fees, rules, reservations, permits, for most things, like you do if you're in a national park like at Cathedral Valley Loop. It's a lot more rustic. You're not going to have services, but you do get a certain level of freedom. So Factory Butte, just outside of Hanksville, Utah, is BLM land. It feels like you're on the moon. And since it's BLM, you can actually get out there and explore because the area is OHV. I got out there nice and early and got some great sunrise shots of the lighting up the entire butte. I had the place basically to myself the whole time I was out there. After exploring Factory Butte and Capitol Reef National Park, you can start making your way out of Hanksville towards Moab. But before you leave, you're going to want to stop by Goblin Valley State Park and Little Wild Horse Lock Canyon. Goblin Valley State Park has these amazing hoodoos, and they're right off of the parking lot, so you can go out there, explore, and walk through them. It feels like you're in a sci-fi movie. If you enjoy hikes, there's some really cool hikes that aren't that far, like the Goblin's Lair, really cool place. So it is a definite must if you're in the area. Not too far out away from that state park is Little Wild Horse Lock Canyon, and that is a beautiful slot canyon. It's a really nice accessible hike. You have a little bit of adventure, but it's still family friendly. You know, younger kids that are a little bit bigger will love it. There's climbing, you can jump around. It is a really cool hike, and you can make it only as long as you want it to be. You can make it out and back, or you can do the entire loop that goes through 2 canyons. That's about 8 miles. On my channel, I like to go out and explore, mostly in Colorado and Utah because it's the area that I live in, and I have videos of off-roading Jeep trails, but that's not the only thing I do here. I want to go to places that are accessible to anybody that just really enjoys the outdoors and wants a unique experience. So if that's something that's interesting to you, like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. So in this video I said 5 easy trails, and when I say easy, I mean it doesn't require a lot of heavy modification. It doesn't mean that you should treat it just like you're on any other road. There's additional risk and hazards and things you need to consider if you are going to go off-road. One of them could be shelf roads. Now, shelf roads are typically narrow and have a steep drop-off on one of the sides. If you have an issue with heights, do not get on a shelf road. On a shelf road, it's really important to keep an eye out for oncoming traffic, especially if it's super narrow. If you can see that the road is narrow ahead and there's a car coming the other way and you're at a good point where you can pull off and it's wide enough for 2 cars to pass, pull over, wait for that car to come past the narrow section and go on your way. You don't want to be head on in a narrow road and one of you is going to have to try to back down the thing. A lot of these roads, they're perfectly fine when they're dry. Matter of fact, you could probably do them in a 2-wheel drive vehicle when they're dry. But when it starts to rain, especially in Utah, the soil there is kind of this clay. You can get yourself stuck. So if it's been raining really bad, be smart. Another helpful tip is Don't be afraid to get out of your vehicle and check the area out. If you're unsure about, the condition of the road, stop, scout it out. See if it is any issues to know if you need to turn around or to stop. While I was talking about Factory Butte, if you do decide to explore in the OHV area, you can't follow all the tracks because there's side by sides and everything else that's going on out there, and you can't go the way they can go. So stop, look around, make sure it's safe for a full-size vehicle. Just little things like that can keep you out of any kind of tricky situation. Okay, so now where was I? Okay, you were leaving Hanksville. You went and checked out Goblin Valley State Park, checked out Little Wild Horse Slot Canyon, all a must. So you're making your way back into Moab. So if you're in Moab, you want to go to Canyonlands National Park. And I would suggest doing White Rim Road. Now, since this is a national park, get a day use permit. White Rim Road has sections of Shelf Road that are pretty high. So know that going in. If you don't like it, it's unavoidable. Don't do the road. But if it doesn't bother you, you like a little bit of a thrill, go ahead. It is completely worth it. The road travels along the rim of the canyon and it is incredible. In addition, there's a ton of overlooks and cool things to see all along the route. It's a total of 92 miles to do the entire thing. So I want to next year to make sure I'm on it and can get a campsite and be able to really take my time and do the entire 92 miles and camp in the middle of the route. There's no services once you leave Moab, so you want to make sure that you have a full tank of gas. You're leaving the Canyonlands, and instead of going on the main highway, I would suggest going down Long Canyon. So Long Canyon, you want to go from the top down to the river so you get the views. As you're going down the road, it's well maintained, and you may have seen pictures of vehicles driving underneath this huge rock that's over a section of the road that's on Long Canyon. The next spot I wanted to share with you all is the Canyonlands Overlook. And the Canyonlands Overlook is right across from Canyonlands National Park and from Dead Horse State Park. When you're at those parks and you're looking across the river towards the LaSalle's, that's where the Overlook is. But what makes it so unique and why I thought it'd be a good place for people to check out is that you're on BLM, so you get the experience of seeing the canyon without the crowds. You can do dispersed camping all along the route out there. You can even camp at the edge of the canyon if you're brave enough to do that. It has a bathroom, it has a picnic table. When I was there the whole day, had the place entirely to myself. You're able to fly drones because you're on BLM, so I was able to go out there and mess around. You got to be careful though, the Colorado River is the border of the national park, so don't fly too far out there. The actual trail is about 5 miles and it's basically a dirt road for most of it. About a mile away from the Overlook, there is a rocky climb. If you get to it and you don't feel comfortable doing it for whatever reason, it's about a mile to the Overlook, so you could hike the rest of the way if you wanted to. There is a nice camp spot before you get to that climb that is nice and flat at the edge of the canyon, and you can fit a couple of vehicles there if you're interested in doing that but didn't want to fully commit to making your way out to the Overlook. It is a really unique area worth checking out if you want something that's a little bit different. You want to be willing to work a little bit harder to get to it. I think you won't be disappointed. To see more unique trails in Utah, click the end screen now.